All right. Today we are talking astrology and spiritual alignment and getting in order with your highest and best self. So that way you have the most aligned version of yourself to hit your goals without the friction or anything holding you back. We are meeting with Taylor Caruthers. She helps busy spiritual coaches and healers scale with astrology and align systems so that way they can hit their next income level really fast and with ease, which means no burnout, which is exactly why she's here with us today. Thank you, Taylor, for coming on the show and sharing a little bit of who you are and what you do.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, that is pretty much what I've morphed into, is, accepting essentially, like, this is me accepting my own purpose and destiny, and things that are really easy for me are not really easy for other people. And
Yeah.
being a single mom with multiple children and busy children and a full-time job, and also, woke up and decided to become an entrepreneur. That in itself is a recipe for burnout. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to have this conversation.
Yeah. So, talk to me a little bit about how you got into astrology. Was there a path that led you that way? Like, were you in a different space and then realized this is how you were going to help move yourself forward easier? Like, what's the story behind getting into that and then using that?
Oh man, so this is actually kind of funny, and I don't know that I've ever shared it in this way, but you're getting the truth today. So, I actually fell into, so I always knew I was a Virgo. Like, I always knew my sun sign. I kind of was fascinated about horoscopes, but a little of my backstory is I grew up super Christian, even went to Catholic school. So, I, like most people raised in that, thought that astrology and magic and all these things were witchcraft and it was bad and it was evil, blah, blah, blah. So fast forward, I am an adult living in California, and I actually am also sober. So I had asked someone to be my sponsor, and she told me no. And then she called me back and she said, "Do you know what time you were born and where?" And she ran my chart, and then she called me back and she said, "Let's have coffee." And I said, "Huh, okay." So right there, like, that Virgo brain of mine went of like, what did she see that interested her to want to actually talk to me as a person? And that was honestly the first real spark of understanding, like, a big three, your personal planets, blah blah blah. So it really, when I saw the potential, I like needed more. So I
Yeah.
started studying. I couldn't even tell you how many courses I've taken at this point. My book collection is ridiculous. And like, then once I got into it, figuring out who to listen to, where to learn, where to study, because the internet is very busy. It's always a traffic jam.
Yeah.
And I actually, I have a mentor now, and I'm actually about to start a 4-year coursework in astrology because I love it so much. Every time I look at my chart, I learn something new. I see
Mm.
something new. I see a different opportunity. For me as an astrologer, I will never use astrology to fearmonger anything or anyone or anybody. All it
Yeah.
is information. Whether you choose to work with it or not is your decision, but I'm never going to be like, "Oh, Mercury's in retrograde." I make that joke because that's the one that everybody knows. All I do is give myself more time. Like, if we were recording this and Mercury was in retrograde, I would have suggested, "Hey, we should probably log on like 10, 15 minutes earlier instead of 5
Yeah.
minutes because there's bound to be some tech stuff."
Yeah.
So I look at it from a practical aspect of like, how can this help me? How can I lay low today if it's like a funky energy day? And if I see patterns happening in other people, I just have a different perspective because I know, like, oh, today is rough. It's doesn't make it less rough for me because I know what's going on, but it's rough for them and they don't even know why. So,
Yeah.
um, I really kind of infuse it. I run my kids' friends charts when they come over. Everything has a chart. With If you're buying a car, house, a business, everything has a chart. So
Mhm.
I really enjoy the complexity of like what it can show you about different pieces, and it really was one of the first connections that helped me start to make sense of my life and different things. And I'm like, oh, that whole period of time I struggled. And they're like, well, your Jupiter was here. And I'm like, oh. Uh, so yeah, it's really fascinating to me how much you can learn and do with it. So it is
Yeah.
definitely my, like, I would say it's my number one.
Yeah. So same. I grew up very Christian. We were in church, I think 5 days a week. My mom had a lot of repenting to do. And we just, we went through that with her. So it was hard to kind of start leaning into it more. If you see my thing, it's filled with crystals and magic potions and stuff. That's my space. But once I started seeing that you can look back and yes, there's interpretation, but it's such a broad range and it became so consistent with the patterns of what was happening and where it was saying, yeah, that was supposed to happen there. And you're like, oh yeah, like shit went down there. Like that's what happened
Literally.
there. And then you can see it coming and then you can start to see in the future, like, oh, we're going to hit another dump. Like, let's get prepared for it. How are we going to work through it? And it's just been, so eye-opening. Whereas, and I don't want to say like I believe in a God or a higher power or there. I don't think we're just here. There is a higher
For
being.
sure.
I don't care what you call it,
Same.
but I don't think that will leave. But I think we're more connected to that higher being than we've been taught
Yes, 100%.
in our regular everyday space. Yeah, that's awesome. Same. Every time I go into a chart or I open something, I'm like, oh, more. There's more. There's so
And the
much
funny
more.
part for me was like I started getting exposed to human design. So like I know
Mm,
super high surface level human design, but numerology, and I saw very very quickly that it was super complex. And I said, okay, you can't study all of these at the same time, and
no.
you got to pick one. So I chose astrology. So that's why I'm like, I'll tell people like, yes, I'm a 2/4. I know I'm a generator. Like I know a little bit of conversation about channels and gates, and I know the basics. I know I'm a non-emotional, sacral authority, etc. But even that information is super helpful because
Mhm.
I found out in my entrepreneurial journey that I was behaving and living as a manifesting generator.
Mm,
I'm not a manifesting generator.
yeah.
So even just knowing that and learning about my 2 and the 4, like pivoted how I was able to then again just leverage the energy that is within me,
Right.
whether I acknowledge it or not. It just allowed another opportunity to like really just kind of make my life easier. It's like you can go to astrology and human design when you're ready to stop banging your head on the wall and you're like, oh, well,
Right.
how do I attract clients better? How do I communicate better with my kids or my partner or blah blah blah? The answers are there. It's like, do you want them or not?
Yeah. Yeah. Human design. I know my chart very well. A very good friend of mine does human design, and the book for it is like an encyclopedia.
Yes.
And then you tell people that you're like, oh, human design, like I know more than the average person because she and I worked together for a long time. And they're like, gene keys. And I'm like, slow down. That's
I
another,
wanted to.
another.
I still am curious about Gene Keys, but same thing. I got exposed to Gene Keys like a year too late, and I was like,
Yeah.
I cannot do it. So I ran the report, and I had like it just sits in a folder in my
Yeah.
email because I cannot dive into it because I'll go down that rabbit hole. It's so
And
fascinating.
it's all connected. It's all connected anyway. So if you're learning one, like it's kind of like when you learn Latin, you can
You
speak
can
all the
speak
languages.
anything.
I think that's kind of like if you're in astrology, like the other stuff will come easier once you have a good grasp on that. But in terms of like using it to help find who you are, when I found human design, it kind of showed where I was inhibiting certain areas. I don't know the right word for it, but I was always told you're supposed to be seen and not heard.
Same.
And whenever I went somewhere, I struggled. Like I always wanted to talk, but I sat back and I was quiet. And I had trouble networking online because it didn't feel authentic to me just typing away, trying to meet people that way. And human design showed me that I have my throat chakra is colored in, open, whatever it's called. I can't remember, defined. And I'm supposed to speak. And I was like, oh, that feels really good. I wonder why I haven't spoke. And then I was able to go back and think like, oh yeah, this is the way I was conditioned to be because I was a kid of the 80s and kids are seen and not heard. And we were praised for being seen and not heard and not for speaking up. So it was also a very healing kind of journey as well. The more you learned about how you were designed, and allowing yourself to move forward and fall into those pieces a little bit more. And it wasn't overnight, clearly. It was, slowly but surely, but
Yeah.
learning about it was super, super helpful. I have a question. So, and only because you just talked about like retrograde and all this other stuff. I'm in a group with a couple other entrepreneurs, and we're all very in this spiritual space, right? Three of us have been like exhausted and drained and just feeling the emotional level of like the solar flares and all the things that are going on in the cosmos right now. And it's like really kind of like weighing us down. And the other one was like, I feel great. And we were like, what's your sign again? So she's an Aries. She's a fire sign. She's super connected. And we're like, well, that makes a lot of sense. Everything that drains our life is like charging you up. And she's like, I'm ready to go.
Saturn
So
just moved into Aries for the first time in 30, no, is it 30 years? Almost 30 years? I don't know. I don't remember. I can't do math right now. But the last time Saturn was in Aries was like 95, 96.
that was
So
10 years
that
ago. What are you talking about?
right, like basically that was yesterday. Basically, yeah, I love that yes, everything affects people differently.
Yeah.
So based on, obviously I would need to know way more about her chart, but based on where it's sitting in her chart and this particular transit, this could be her like clearly it's her moment. It's her chance to like
Yeah.
jump on that Aries energy and really like just go balls to the wall. And it might be for you and some of the other people who are like really tired. You obviously, everybody has different placements. And we can totally talk about this all day long, but yeah, it affects people differently. And
Yeah.
that's kind of that's the fun part is like, we can talk about Saturn and Aries for what it is all day long, but what it looks like for you, what it looks like for me, what it looks like for her and him and they and them and everybody else is going to be totally different. And like, that's the beauty of, kind of what we'll be talking about in a little bit of like customizing. This is why the one size fits all plan, or this is my recipe for hitting 10K months. And I hate that freaking verbiage. But I'm just going to use it because anybody listening to this has heard it. But like this person's recipe for 10K months, you might be able to replicate it. Yes, people's programs absolutely work. Methodology, strategy, it all works. But at what cost?
Right.
And that's when you hire me, because then we look at, what do you like about that system? How does it feel in your body? Where do you want to expand on the parts that you love? And where can we cut out and replace the parts that you don't? Because you can still hit 10K months if you don't follow this exact methodology the way this person, who might be a manifesting generator for all we know. They might, you know what I mean? Like, they might have their Saturn might be in Aries. They might be in their Saturn return. Who knows? That's the really cool part about being able to infuse this into not only your business but your everyday life, because you can look
Yeah.
at a weekend and say, I don't want to travel. I don't know if I'm really feel like being out and about and being social, and I don't want to waste this amazing vacation. So can we book it here? That's it.
Yeah. I worked with a coach once who was clearly a manifesting generator, and she lived on live launches. Every single month was a live launch, and she was teaching us to do the same thing. And I'm like, this is not fun. I'm going to do this all that. I'm a projector. So I am the opposite of all of that. And it was rough. I was like, this was a bad investment. Great idea. Not so much for me. So that's why, like, when I work with people, I do energy management as well. Not in terms of like astrology or anything else, but really tracking when you feel really good and when you feel tired, and not just day to day, but like week to week, month to month. Because so I'll just give you my little tidbit on New Year's Eve, right? New year, new you. Everybody's got to do this thing, get going. We're still in dead of winter, guys. Winter is rest. Like, you're supposed to still be chilling and reviewing like, spring is let's go start something new and build and like move with the world. So I kind of, without going too far into my spirit, with the spiritual side of things, because not everybody I work with is spiritual,
Yeah.
but I let them know like the way that the earth moves, like we're meant to move with the earth. We're not meant to sit behind computers. We've only done that for what? Since the 80s, 70s, when were computers made? 60s? There's no idea. Not 100 years. It hasn't been that long. We've been around for a lot longer. So really just working within our own time clock, from if you wake up at 7:30 in the morning, maybe your peak focus time is going to be 10 o'clock. But, it's depending on what you do and how you do it and what you're putting into your body and what you're doing throughout the day, it's really just going to help you. And I do that mostly because I know I'm a projector and I don't have an unlimited supply of energy.
No, you didn't.
So like I was literally on the couch before I messaged you. I was like, I need to rest. It's, late in the day for
It's
me.
because and literally, I love how you just said that. Like, you don't have to be, and this is something I stress because, of course, when I get to talk in astrology, people are like, why? Like, never mind. I don't even have a question anymore. Like, never mind. You do not have to become an astrologer. You do not have to become a human design expert. Like, you can still work with what feels good and natural and normal. Yes, you might get the itch that we got and go down that like hole into other things. But that's literally why these are reasons that I say people hire us, because I know something in a way that I can give it to you
Yeah.
to do what you want with it in the way that feels good for you. I will never actually, my content that went out today, I think I say something like that at the end of it, where I'm like, I will never tell you to do things like I do things. You are not me. You do not have my genetic blueprint. You do not have my natal chart blueprint. I'm never going to tell anybody, well, this is the way I do it, so this is the way it works. This works for me and me only. It's going to be very different for you as a projector. So like, you even knowing that, of like, you get to build your schedule to have the ability to go lay down when you want to step away and not feel tied to your phone or your computer, to be present on social media, because as you said, that is like not fun. Especially for a projector, you're like, live launching every month. I wouldn't do that as a generator, but like, to each his own, because I'm sure
Yeah.
there's other components in play.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, it's so true. Oh my goodness. So normally after 3 o'clock, I don't do any work whatsoever, but I enjoy talking to people. So if we have to schedule after 3 at my time, I'm, go take a nap and then jump on and I'm good to go. My hair might be a mess, but that's what it is.
Literally.
I know what works, right? Like it's such a tool for your business, and so important to have in your back pocket, so that you're not just guessing or trying things just because. Like it's like this, it's a guidebook, and it's so helpful. It really is.
And it's like, if you want to deviate from the path, deviate. But then
Yeah.
when you look back 6 months later and wonder why, like, that launch per se, because we're talking business at the moment, like, why that launch wasn't what you wanted it to be, or desired, whatever. It also gives you an opportunity to then look back, and as you're recreating, as you're, studying what went well and looking at your numbers, etc., to decide where to like pivot from information and also feeling.
Yeah, yeah. So for anybody who, even for people like me who have gone down the rabbit hole, where would you have them start if they were curious? Like, of course, we need to know our birthplace, our time, right? Date,
Yeah.
time,
Yeah, time and
location.
location. It's the same information to run an accurate astrology chart. I would tell like the very lay person that doesn't, maybe just knows their sun sign, to like know their big three, because that's your
Yeah.
sun, moon, and your rising. Your sun is literally like your personality. The moon is your emotions, your innermost self, and your rising is how other people see you. So even if you never go beyond that, I think that again, some information is better than no information at all. So I would absolutely say, like, at least go to astro.com. It's totally free. Take a quick read. It might start to pique your interest. And like, then I would say the next step would be to look at your personal planets. But just start there if you want to start.
Yeah. Yeah. When I did that, that was because I'm an Aquarius, is my sun sign. And I've always kind of been like, okay, but I'm not really aloof. Like I'm pretty systemized. Like, I don't really understand. But when I went through and found out, my moon sign is a Libra and my rising sign is a Sagittarius. And the Sagittarius made so much sense. And I'm like, oh, okay, that feels a lot better than just telling people I'm an Aquarius.
Because if you look at the horoscopes, like if people, somebody, I taught a workshop and someone was like, well, I love reading the daily horoscopes. And I was like, then I would read the horoscope for your rising sign. And like, even knowing to make that switch, like I'm not a big horoscope person myself. Because again, like I know too much at this point. So I'm just like, whatever. There's like so many other considerations besides this blurb. So it also makes sense how we connected too, because I'm a Libra moon, I'm a Virgo sun, Libra moon, and Aquarius rising. So I'm very much not aloof, obviously, but I can be. And I can
Yeah.
see that. And like, I always say I'm like the perfect definition of an ambivert because I can show up and do this stuff and at work and host trainings and perform. And then I'll come home and not talk to anybody for days. I'm the
Yeah.
person that like watches my phone ring. I do not want to talk on the phone to you. Like, no. So it's weird, but when you're able to like put all those pieces together and see how it works and how do you, again, like the secret sauce is like, how do I leverage it?
Yeah. Yeah. That is true. There's times where my husband is like, "How are you so smart?" When I don't know, sometimes you're just not that smart. And I'm like, "Uh."
That I think I say that at least once a day that I'm like and I tell this to my friends and they laugh. They're like, no, you're really smart. I'm like, no, I'm really, really smart in some stuff. And I'm like really, really dumb in other stuff. Like
Yeah.
other perfect example for me is Canva. Canva is either your BFF or your arch nemesis. Canva
Yeah.
is my arch nemesis. Like I want the strategic design. And as soon as it's not perfect, because my Virgo wants it perfect, I want to burn it down. So part of my journey has been going before it's ready, putting one foot in front of the other, showing up no matter what, not putting on this performance piece because perfectionism is actually not a thing.
Yeah.
But I was stuck in like, I can't launch, I can't talk to people and blah, blah, I can't do this, I can't do that. I was stuck there for so long. And
Yeah.
again, going deeper into these self-discovery tools, allowed me to just free myself from that. So I can respond to a message and be like, yeah, I'm ready. Like, let's do this. No problem. Like, let it
That's
flow.
really
Like, just be
important.
myself.
That's really important to say because a lot of women get stuck in that perfectionist mode of I have to have it this way before I can do this or before this can happen. And the funny thing is, the people that have the most success were doing it really sloppy in the beginning, and
Because how else
they
can you
just
get better?
how are you going to learn?
How do you get the feedback if you never put it out there? Like
Yeah,
now your heart's broken because you put it out there and you think it's perfect and somebody's like, or you put out your offer and nobody buys it and now you've tied that
right,
to your self-worth. And now
right,
you're wrecked because you're like, everybody hates me. Nobody wants what I have. And this was so great. I spent a year developing this course. Did you talk to anybody about that course? Did you
right.
ask anybody any questions? Oh, is it only your feedback? Okay,
Yeah,
let's start there.
yeah. Yeah, and we, I mean, I've said this prior to AI, but even more so now that we have AI, like we want to see human fallacy. I want to see the bloopers. Show me you messing up, please. Show me the nitty gritty down in the dirt. Like I had all of this terrible stuff going on, or my very first live video I ever did. It was before I knew we had teleprompters, and I was doing it on my phone, and I put a sticky note on it so I would remember my talking points. And I touched something, and it turned my screen around, so they saw my desk for like the last 20 minutes of my live video, and I left it up. It was like it's just part of my learning curve, I guess. This is how we went. And I survived. You know, you learn and you grow and you survive. So it's whenever we work with women, that's definitely something we have to help them through, right? Perfectionism is unobtainable.
It's not a thing.
No, there's always going to be another thing to work for. Well, I have trouble giving reviews because everyone's like 5 stars if I did a great job, and I'm like, okay, only because your bonus is dependent on it, but it's a 4 because nobody's a 5. You're just not a 5. And I had to come to terms with that as well when I worked in corporate because every 3 months we got reviewed, and I'm like, no, I'm a 5. I don't know why you're putting me down as a 4, but I'm a 5, right? So I had to work on that too. But yeah, perfectionism is definitely like the silent killer of big dreams.
For sure, especially when it
And
comes to your authenticity, your visibility, and all the things that it takes to do what we're doing right now. Like,
yeah,
even, I have talked to so many coaches who will only do podcasts if they're audio, or if they are a dual where they're going audio and visual. They want to make sure their makeup and hair, and I'm like, girl, nobody cares. Like, if the quality of what you have to say is there and you're confident in that, I
yeah,
will buy as a consumer from you in sweatpants the same way I'm going to buy from you in a three-piece suit.
yep,
I don't
yep.
care about you. Like, and we know that as women, like, we see other women and we're like, okay, oh my gosh, she's gorgeous. And that gorgeous woman is over there beating herself up. She's like, oh my God, I'm fat and my cheeks
Hmm.
and they're nitpicking themselves. And we're like, what? It's the same thing in the online space. Like, it is the
Yeah.
same exact thing.
Yep. I recorded a couple reels in this chair over here, and I started a new TikTok page, and they were getting like 100, 200 views, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. So yesterday I just out of nowhere grabbed my phone and I started talking before I even put it down, and it got the most views. It got like 50 likes, and I'm like, I got to do this every day. Like this is what people want. They want you to be real and raw and not scripted, and we have to just be ourselves because there's so much of the same thing happening online. And this is where astrology and knowing how you were designed, right? I believe it came from the stars. Because we're all energy. We're energy when we come in. We're energy when we go out. Like it's got to go somewhere.
Exactly.
So knowing that we're all connected, and I could go down that hole forever about
Same.
people in the past knew that we were connected. But just knowing that there's something else out there that can guide you, that it's not Satanism, it's not like this horrible, terrible thing that's going to turn you into the devil, but it's connecting on a different level to that area to help you be more of who you are, so that way you can grow faster.
And even
It's
when I
really,
do chart readings, I tell people I do check I check in with them as we're going through, and I tell them and I will always say take what resonates and leave the rest. It's
yeah,
information. Either it
yeah,
touches your heart or touches you in a way where you're like, oh, I want to figure out how to embody that. Or I want to, people that are like, oh, I want to start working on trauma. I know I have it, but I don't know where to start. And I'm like, well, let's see where your Chiron placement is. Like, let's just start there. Somebody's like, oh, how do I find love? Like, I don't have the recipe to tell you the date you're going to meet your soulmate. Like, are there people out there that are well more studied and been doing it for decades? Absolutely. Is there a way to like get to that level of specificity? Sure. But like in a general sense, and again, if you don't want to become an astrologer or a human design expert, you can find the way to start. And sometimes that's all you have to do is just start and
yeah.
more to be revealed. Like once you open the door, you will be so surprised, but you have to be willing to open the door.
Yeah, yeah. And my recommendation would be to just follow people like you who have the information and they start putting it out there, because it's always nice to hear from somebody who is doing the work and implementing it and teaching it as well, instead of just reading about it on your own, because it gets confusing reading, reading
And it's
about
hard
it
to
on your own.
interpret. And like I
Yeah.
recognized after doing several courses, I knew one of my goals this year was to just work one on one with a mentor. Like, and
Mm.
not, I'm entering the 4 year course is more of a program, but I knew I wanted the one to one connection, but also I found very quickly that I was the one that knew the most about astrology in the room in the conversation, and I love it. So people would hit me up and ask me questions, and I love it. Again, generator. I'm built to respond. Ask me a question, and I can go all day long. But what I noticed, and I said to another friend who's an astrologer, and I said, what if I'm wrong? Like, what if my interpretation is like totally off and I don't even know it? And the people that I'm talking to on a regular basis don't know enough to correct me. They don't even
Mm.
know enough to like challenge me and say, like, wait a second, what? Saturn didn't just go into Aries. That was Jupiter. Whatever. You know what I mean? Like, nobody, I'm not in, I wasn't in the room with those people. So I was just like, ooh, this is a point of now you're getting your little sea legs. Like now you need to, if you want to continue to grow, like now is the time to get the mentor to like
Mm.
go further on your own in a structured way. Because yeah, if you're doing it on your own, it's like unhinged and you will find yourself, I was studying like degree theory and stuff before I could even remember what the houses stood for. So it was like I didn't even have the foundations fully under me, and I was into all this like further advanced stuff, and I was just like, okay, we got a level set here, because then somebody's like, what does my seventh house mean? And I'm like, hold on, let me look that up really quick.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing about me too, is like if I don't know something off the top of my head, I won't like bullshit you about it. I'm just gonna be like, that's a good question. Actually, I don't know. I'm drawing a blank. Let me look it up. I'm
Mm.
not gonna be the person to like blow smoke and just make you think that I'm oh so great. Like I'm human. I know a lot, but I also know nothing. And let's learn it. Let's learn it together. Like let's figure it
Yeah.
out.
That's awesome. So I think I asked you, do you have anything else that you want to share that would be like an aha moment for anybody listening or anything like that?
I think the aha moment that I reflected on recently is the amount of faith, money, hope, trust, etc., that I put into everything when I started my business. I could not even tell you how many programs I was in at a single time, how many calls I was on per day, how much information I was consuming. I do not regret any of my investments. I thankfully was never like bamboozled. I don't have, I've heard some of those horrific stories. I don't
Mm.
have, I always vet wherever I was going to spend this money that I didn't have. I always
Mm.
vetted out really well. So I'm super grateful, but I kept looking for this is going to be the coach. This is the program. This is the thing that solves me. This is what fixes my business. This is what fixes me. And I was placing all this faith, hope, trust, and money into another human being that was teaching me and I learned, but I was never asking myself. I was never
Mm.
checking with my higher self. I was doubting myself in a way of like, I would double down and make the investment and like get on the sales call and do the things. But like, you cannot listen to even 5 or 10, if you're in 5 or 10 programs, like, you cannot listen to and implement effectively all of that information. So I basically I paid to put myself in analysis paralysis,
Yeah.
because I was stuck doing so many things. I can't tell you what was working or what didn't work because I don't know. So I can't even repeat this process because there was so many voices. So I think the aha is you and your higher self always know. Like if you're in a program or you're working with a coach, a mentor, whatever you call them, always still go with your gut, even if you're not a sacral authority. Follow your heart, follow that intuition, and trust it because it's coming in for a reason, and it's usually for the better. And I shouldn't even say usually. I've never followed my intuition and regretted it. So I would say my big piece of advice is to always listen to yourself first. Yes, there's always room to learn, and there's always room to grow, but trust yourself through all of that growth and all of that learning.
I love that you said that because so many people will say, I don't know how, or I don't hear anything. And my advice always with the people that I work with is to shut down technology. Go for a walk without earbuds in or without your phone. I don't know, get in the car, take a long shower without having the radio on. Like, let your brain do what it does to connect with the rest of your body so that way you can get the answers that you're looking for. Because if you're constantly being bombarded, like you said, being in all the programs, because I was one of those as well, nothing's coming through. There's too much being fed into your head that you have nothing coming through. So even if you just take 10 minutes of silence and just let nothing happen,
And
crazy things
even
are
with
coming
like
in.
what you said, the removing the earbuds and stuff, I mean, we can go on the science part of that real quick. And the fact that removing that radio frequency away, physically
Yeah.
farther away from your body, like maybe try sleeping with your phone downstairs and like buying an old, when that was suggested to me, I was like, but it's my alarm clock. They're like, go to Dollar Tree and buy an old school alarm clock. And I was like, oh. So like just playing until you find what works for you to actually step away, because just putting your phone on D&D on your nightstand and your head is right there, like the interference is still there. And also the other thing that I wanted to say about that really quick is that maybe you don't hear, but did you feel? Did you
Hmm.
see? Did you smell? Did you sense? Like we have all these senses that we don't tap into. So like maybe
Yeah.
you're not a person that hears the information, but you feel. You have that like, I'm not going. I don't know why, but I'm not going because I have this feeling like that. All of those methods are your intuition.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually asked if I was on the right path ever, like if a thought popped in my head or whatever, whenever I needed a sign that I would see a feather. And I rarely see feathers. And the other day I was outside in my backyard and I was thinking about business and what I was going to do next. And should I write the book? Should I do this? And I was thinking about the book and I was feeling really good about the book. And I looked up and there was a feather on the grass right in front of me. And I was like, thank you. That's all I
Ask
needed,
and
right?
you
Like,
shall receive.
yeah, yeah. And so the feather is like my thing. If I see a feather out and about, I'm like, what was I just thinking? What was in my head? Because that's a good thing. It's we're on the right path. So yeah, there's so much when you really tap into yourself and start understanding that you're more powerful than we've been taught that we are. Right?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
So okay, tell everybody how they can find you, where they can find you, what you have going on, if you have a program and offer, like tell us all the things.
Oh, so yay, the fun part. I enjoy the conversation so much. I'm just like, oh, okay, I'll talk. Fine, I'll share. I am mainly between Instagram and Facebook. So on Instagram, I primarily use my business account, which is metanoia underscore innovative underscore solutions, which is very long. So I am on Facebook as Taylor A. Caruthers, and then you can totally get the link from there. I actually just ran a masterclass called Back End Magic a couple weeks ago. So that free replay is available for basically showing you how to find the energetic leaks in your business and what to do about them. I call them, instead of standard operating procedures, I call them sacred operating procedures, because this is kind of where I blend my magic of, I've been in healthcare operations. I've been a nurse for like 16 years and I've been in healthcare operations for like 15 of them. So I know how to run a business. And if you ever want to create and scale and make the money you're here to make and be able to delegate and hire VAs to work efficiently for you, you need a process. You need a repeatable process written down, not in your brain, that they
Preaching.
can follow. Because I have hired VAs way before I was ready, and I was just paying money to end up having to either redo, undo, subdo, whatever. Again, I go through all that in the masterclass. So that's free, that's available. That is leading into my offer that actually starts June 19th. Of course, it coincides with Juneteenth, because we have the Freedom Day and we also have summer solstice the very next day. So I think it's a super powerful, potent moment to make a shift in your business. And that's a 12-week group program that I am running for spiritual entrepreneurs, coaches, healers, however you identify yourself in the space, to put structure into their businesses so that they can scale and make the money that they're here to make. Of course, I offer astrology readings, like just regular. I can do business astrology readings. I've actually done some readings where I'm looking at the person's chart with their business chart, to leverage that together, which is a lot of fun, because if you want a quick like 90-day or how do I finish up 2025 strong, that's an amazing offer. I'm a breathwork facilitator. I'm certified in theta healing. I'm also a Reiki master. So I do some stuff locally here in Southern California, but I also offer the same stuff online. So yeah, I have,
Love it.
again, I was not joking when I talked about how many programs I was in. Um, I laugh about it now because it's like, yeah, I learned a lot, and that's why I say I don't regret anything, because all these
Yeah.
modalities literally, I sought out some, the rest came to me. And they kind of blend together. So it's really cool to work with somebody who's also intuitive and spiritual, but also knows how to run a business.
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. We're gonna drop all your links below, so anything that anybody wants, they can connect with you in the notes wherever they are.
Yes. And talk to
Thank
me,
you.
like you can totally DM me. I tell people this, even my email list. I'm like, it's me. If you hit
Yeah.
reply, like it's me. I don't have a team yet.
Yeah.
So I love talking to people and hearing more about, what people want to hear or learn or know from me. Like it's super, super helpful in the sea of being an online service provider. It's super helpful to like actually have relationships with folks.
Yeah, and talk to them for real. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for hanging out and sharing all of that with us. I think it was very helpful for me when I learned about it. So hopefully it can, help other people as well to kind of open up and be more in that space.
Absolutely. And when you don't want to become the thing, just hire the person to help you figure out the part that you want to know to answer that question and leave it. Like it's totally
That's
okay.
it.
Thank you so
That's
much for
it.
having me.
Thank you.